Michael, let's get into governance. Michael Barrett is asking questions of ministers who are in charge of handing contracts to companies like Mckinsey. Jagmeet Singh's on this train as well, trying to hold the Liberals accountable, but continuing to prop them up. So that's interesting. We'll look at Jagmeet Singh's speech about this in just a minute. But currently, this interaction is very interesting. It's a little bit long. We're going to listen to 2 minutes of it, but this is pretty interesting to understand that the minister was just learning about all of this, if you believe that, recently. It defies good sense. If your job is to be the person who decides which companies get contracts, etc., you'd think you'd do some basic due diligence. Give me a list of the last 5 news articles about this company, and let's have a look and see if everything seems above board. Have they been involved in any lawsuits in the last 10 years? What are they? Let's ask those basic questions. And apparently, the minister didn't think to ask any of those basic questions. Here's the exchange. Here we go.
Minister, were you aware of the ethical record of McKinsey? And have you become aware of it since taking on this role as minister? That they held a corporate retreat adjacent to a concentration camp. Our parliament recognized that there's a genocide happening there. One of the concentration camps, they held a retreat next to it. That this same company is embroiled in a corruption scandal in South Africa. This same company is embroiled in election interference scandal in France, and this same company paid out $600 million US, that's almost $800,000 Canadian, for paying bonuses to pharmacists when there were opioid deaths, when they overprescribed drugs like OxyContin.
No, I was not aware, Mr. Barrett.
When did you become aware of when did you become aware of McKinsey's involvement and their payment of that settlement?
Through the testimony at this committee last week.
Okay. And since that time, Minister, have you taken any action to end the government of Canada's business with that company?
Here comes the dodge.
As we have already discussed, I have discussed with staff, the deputy, that we need to look very closely at our integrity regime.
No, not looking, Minister, looking closely is not going to cut it. This is a company that is devoid of values and is completely antithetical to everything that this country stands for. Do you feel that you have a moral obligation to end the government of Canada's business with this company based on what you've heard at this committee?
I need to investigate the matter further and be sure of the facts, Mr. Barrett.
If you were assured that McKinsey, in their work for Purdue Pharma, advised them on how to supercharge the sales of opioids, would that be sufficient for you to end the business of the government of Canada with McKinsey?
I believe in very thorough investigations of all charges, and I'm certainly not in a position to advocate for ending any type of contract with McKinsey at this point in time.
Well,
it's crazy that she won't even commit under those circumstances. Well, under those circumstances. Nope. She says, no, I'm not willing to undertake any kind of commitment for or against McKinsey at this time. Thank you very much for the question. Next question, please. I mean, at least she's being direct, right? At least she's answering kind of the question that's being asked of her. But I mean, wild. Do you believe that she just found out last week that all of these things are true? Here's Jagmeet Singh. He knew about this, right? And Jagmeet Singh is propping up the Liberals. If he was this upset, he maybe wouldn't be propping up the Liberals. Here's Jagmeet Singh about McKinsey. Here we go.
$100 million to help Canadians. The Prime Minister spent $100 million to give contracts to his friends at McKinsey. This is millions of dollars to a firm that advised American hospitals how to maximize profits by billing sick patients. This is the firm that advised Purdue Pharma how to sell more opioids. Why is the Prime Minister spending millions of dollars on his friends rather than spending on helping Canadians through this difficult time?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Why is Jagmeet Singh
$100 million
mumbling so badly? Is he is he impaired somehow? I don't know what's going. Does he have something in his mouth, like a brace or some kind of dental fixture or something like that? Something going on? I have no idea. I've never heard him mumble or speak so poorly. Usually he's quite articulate, right? And sometimes I speak quickly. Anybody who's been watching the show for a long time knows that. But sometimes I'll catch myself dropping the ends of words or dropping the beginning of other words, and I'll go back and say it again to force myself not to do that because it's lazy. And Jagmeet Singh's just being lazy. Mckinsey, okay. We'll talk more about Mckinsey, right? He's talking about all the deficits with regards to doing business with Mckinsey. So why didn't the minister know? Jagmeet Singh knew. And why didn't Jagmeet Singh mention anything with any of his meetings with the leader of the Liberal government that he's a part of the coalition with? Hey, were you aware that McKinsey did all these things? How come we're doing business with them? Because it kind of makes me look bad, because it makes you look bad, makes us look bad. Right? Justin, Canada. So it's interesting that this is being brought up in a, I don't know, half kind of way, in a mumbled way. And what are you going to do? Right? Here's Seamus O'Regan saying they're going to stand with workers. But they're giving hundreds of $millions to firms that teach people how to, or that are involved in scandals for election theft, election manipulation, and all sorts of other things, over prescribing opioids, all sorts of crazy stuff. And Seamus O'Regan is saying, oh yeah, we're on the side of the workers. Here's Seamus O'Regan talking about workers. Here we go.
Mr. Speaker, let me assure this House and to all members that we stand firmly on the side of workers in this country, and the workers who have built our energy industry in Alberta and Saskatchewan and Newfoundland and Labrador, those who have proudly built our oil industries and energy industries. They are exactly the people that we need to lower emissions, create jobs, and ensure the future competitiveness of one of our absolute most important industries. And we have stood with workers every step of the way. More to the point, sir, more to the point, Mr. Speaker, we have made sure that they lead this. They are the ones who built it, and they will continue to lead it. Thank you.
The workers. Right. Sure. Just anybody who's in prison should be out of prison. Right. They stand on the side of criminals too. The House motion for bail reform to keep dangerous, violent, repeat offenders in jail was defeated. Yeas, 116, that's roughly the conservative, like CPC, and 205 nays. So that's NDP and probably the Bloc and the Liberals. So there you go. NDP, Bloc, Liberals, Greens too, I guess. Are they still there? Have they just been completely absorbed by the Liberal Party yet? It's incredible. We are standing with the workers and the citizens of Canada. And if you're in prison, we stand to let you out of prison because, screw the citizens of Canada, I guess, right? Especially violent prison sentences. Let's get you out of there. Why? The reason why, and I explained this the other day, is because violent criminals make very, very bad prisoners, right? Because they cost a lot of money. You have to isolate them, all sorts of stuff, right? And they're hell for the guards. They're hell for other inmates, all sorts of stuff. Who do you want in there? Blue collar, right? You are white collar criminals, right? You want people who are embezzling money, that kind of stuff. And why? Because they make great prisoners. They just be quiet, they do their time, and then they go and they make the prison money. That's why they don't want violent offenders in there. That's why. So bail, yeah, sounds great. Bail reform passed? No way. It's all about the Benjamins, baby. Okay. Garnet Genius says, we don't trust Liberals to investigate other Liberals. Conservatives will be moving a motion today to call in the Auditor General. I'll just refer you to this previous bail reform thing. Do you think the Auditor General has a chance in heck of being able to come in and do this? If the motion's up to being decided in the House of Commons, I'm not holding my breath for this to happen. Great presser though, Guarded Genius. I won't play it right now. Holly Doan says PSPC, SPAC, federal spending on advertising during election year 2021 rose to $140.8 million, the highest figure disclosed to date. Only half was related to pandemic safety measures. They are spending a lot of money in order to advertise to us, to propagandize to us, and people lower their defenses, especially when it's your own government telling you things. If it's Health Canada says you should, do X, Y, and Z. People give it a lot of credence, but if you listen to it over and over on the radio, it becomes a mantra almost. You keep saying it over in your head. And same thing with songs. I've said this before, but this much money spent on advertising is not for your health, comrade, for your health and safety, comrade. We just want to tell you this message over and over and over and over again. It's not so good. Jesse Waters is throwing shade at Trudeau, and I thought it was a funny 7 seconds to share with you. So here we go.
For me. Warning to the migrants going to Canada, don't drive a truck.
Oh,
Trudeau
well,
doesn't like truck
really
drivers.
In trouble. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, you're going to laugh or you're going to cry, right? Oh, the migrants coming to Canada. Oh, right. That was a Freedom Convoy joke. So, but I'm ching. This is a year anniversary. Yesterday or today was the year anniversary of when the apartment building was set on fire by left-wing radicals who tried to blame the Freedom Convoy, and nobody ever really investigated any of that. Did they, if they arrested those people, were they let out on bail? I'm willing to bet they were let out on bail. It's incredible. It's incredible. Here's a bit more waste. This is the hotels I was telling you about. Apparently, this is found out by Michelle Rempel. So if she's pointing this out, how bad does it have to be, right? Martin says, my colleague Michelle Rempel recently discovered that a single hotel used by 15 people for government-imposed quarantine in 2022 cost over $450,000 per person. You thought you knew how bad the government waste was? Think again. And think again, right? We're being schooled regularly on how absolutely wasteful our government is. And they don't care. They're not interested in fixing that whatsoever. In fact, how much more money can we send to Ukraine is the motto of Canada, I think, now. Hello, everyone. Thanks for watching. Check out CanadaPoly.com or CanadaPoly2.locals.com for full episodes of Canada Poly Daily, looking at Canadian politics from a Canadian point of view. Thanks for watching, everyone, and have a wonderful, wonderful